Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this latest edition of Tales from Outer Space. I hope you enjoy. Story number 1. The Cloak, written by 3 ducks in a man suit. When my captain offered me the cloak, I knew it was an honor. The greatest I had ever received. Recognition of all I'd done for the clan. An honor and a curse. It was a beautiful item. Velvety black and so smooth to the touch that it was like laying your hands on silence itself. It fell over my shoulders as if I'd been born wearing it. It barely helped on the first mission I had with it. My image blended with the walls a little better. My footfalls came quieter. It was easier to avoid the target's guards. But most of all, it was still me. My years of training and talent in the ways of unseen movement. It was still me that slipped through the gaps in security on that quiet night and slit the target's throat. I didn't wear the cloak for the banquet the employer threw in honor after the successful mission. I was able to mingle freely with the guests, none of them knowing that it was me who had killed their enemy. I felt an anxiousness the whole time, an uneasy feeling in my gut I couldn't quite place. Academically, I knew the process had already started. The cloak was a curse. All it took was time. Within a month, putting it on made me all but invisible to the naked eye. I could walk without even trying to conceal my presence and not make a sound. That was the golden age, the sweet spot. A near-permanent slasher smile afflicted my face while I donned the cloak in those days. I was invincible. A silent phantom, moving unseen and doing as I wished. It was also around that time I began to hear its voices. It whispered as if it was afraid to be heard. Secrets only for me that could not be shared with another. It became harder to take it off. Every time I disciplined my mind and lifted it from my shoulders, I felt naked. I was suddenly exposed to prying eyes. I was making noise that attracted attention, and I couldn't hear my cloak anymore. I just wanted to hear it again, calling my name, warning me to stay out of sight. I took to wearing it everywhere. It became a part of me, my permanent companion, my closest friend. They no longer noticed me at the clan meetings. I stayed in the corner like a spectre, listening, but never contributing. If I spoke up, even when I had something to say, it would betray my presence. Unacceptable. I stopped reporting to my clan leaders. I would still visit them in their office. The cloak made it simple to drift through the walls, ignoring the security. Nothing could stop me from going where I wanted now. It was the law of the clan to report, to tell of success in your last mission and request your next. I would stand there in my captain's briefing room, words itching at the edge of my mind that I dare not say. He never knew I was there. A brother or sister from the clan would enter and give a report, and I would wait calmly, grateful for the momentary excuse to be silent phantom the cloak wanted me to be. Then they would finish their business and leave, and I was standing there still, unmoving, silent, watching. I could no longer answer the questions or give them in the information I had scouted. It would reveal my presence. Unacceptable. My colleagues held a funeral for me. I was dead to them now. Once the cloak gets you, you become the ultimate master of stealth, undetectable, unstoppable, and that unparalleled ability comes at a cost. I attended one was touched at the ceremony. It was beautiful. Men and women I had trained with for years spoke of my professionalism, my dedication. It was the last moment where I considered stepping forward and drawing attention to myself, just to say goodbye. The cloak told me not to. Its voice reminded me what it was like to feel eyes on me, to be in the spotlight. Unacceptable. I don't know if I can still talk. I don't know if I can still touch, but I don't want to know. The cloak is my friend. The cloak loves me. I will remain silent for the rest of my days. End of story. Story number 2. The Containment Field, written by Voidy Boy. When we had cleared our interstellar roadway and escaped into the planets and distant stars, we were proud. When our untested, united flag of nations solved the errors of countless dictatorships and brought unity, we were proud. When we expanded and explored, discovering countless other empires, we were proud. We dreamed of being powerful and being the terror of the galaxy. We were proud. When we escaped outside of the galaxy rim and traveled to the core worlds, we were proud. When we mined away our gas giants and terraformed our planets in our home system, we were proud. But one day, on one far rim in the galaxy, we found something horrifying. We thought ourselves and others maniacal and cruel. But what we found was devastating, even to the most hardened of soldiers. A planet which had an atmosphere filled with nuclear ash, hundreds of erupting volcanoes, and incredibly dystopian governments, and ideologies that were twisted and burned with hate. Hundreds of explosions every day, and mines that twisted and turned downwards in search of any speck of uranium, so that they might cause another explosion against each other. Metal was mined and stripped down and constantly extracted. Bullets lodged into soldiers' bodies were removed and melted down for just a little more iron. The nuclear sirens blared constantly, only vaguely drowned out by the constant marching of soldiers, filled the brim with fanaticism and hate against another of their own kind. Their guns rarely grew cold. Their kinetic weapons were advanced and developed to the point that every time they fired, it felt that the earth below them groaned and cracked. Entire cities built around massive artillery guns. The upper atmosphere was blocked off hundreds of satellites and probes, broken tools and mounted slag that zoomed at such speed. No ship could have left the planet without being torn apart, and in orbit we detected a lot of undetonated nukes, hanging there, awaiting the command that would never come for it to explode. They had forgotten and buried their old past and only knew destruction against their own. Under the ashes of bombs and trees under the rubble, they had forgotten why this all started. They forgot about their old glory before the war. We could not even find myths of old. They forgot the past in its entirety. Their old cities destroyed and the old symbols burned. From a small probe orbiting a planet far away, we found out what their old name was. Humans. On the probe we found a message. We were bathed in nuclear fire, twisted by our hate. Please, leave us be. For we fear ourselves and our people that once they find out about any alien race, we would crawl out of our cradle planet, and no matter the cost, find you and claim this galaxy as our own. We might be weaker than you. We might be smarter than you. We might not even be comparable to you at all. But our rage, once focused and used, will bring death to you, as it has to us. We left the system and closed it off to all. We made sure that none got in, and it remained that way. We built this place, a containment field that hampers all FTL drive that attempts to exit or enter the system, in hopes that they don't leave. Please listen to our plea. The system contains a danger that will always exist until their star implodes, or they simply fade away to the void. This place does not conceal any weapon within the system, nor is it a holy sanctum. It is a containment field, so that no one enters, and they may not leave. To those who find this containment site, please understand, if these maniacs are let out, the final war shall occur. File found by Exploration Team F5 Jujuric from an active terminal in the control room of the ancient containment field. End of story. Story number 3. Defiance, written by Terran Eclipse 3101. The Terran Alliance was on its last legs, the once mighty nation that had spanned countless star systems, that were protected by giant fleets of the largest and most powerful dreadnoughts and battleships ever designed, would turn to debris and glass as they faced an unstoppable foe. The Galactic Concord was the galaxy's dominant superpower, and had grown tired of Alliance's expansion and claim of resource-rich systems, and had thus launched a full-scale invasion. At first, the Terrans were slaughtering the fleets and armies of the Concord with an overwhelming firepower and numbers, but after each battle, the Terrans lost more and more. The Terrans may have been the biggest and strongest species in the galaxy, but they didn't have the resources or manpower of the much larger Concord. With every casualty the Concord suffered, 10 more warriors or ships were ready to replace it. Wave after wave of warriors crashed onto the Terran lines, and wave after wave were massacred, until the Terrans' ammunition supplies ran dry, and the planets or FTL lane they were fighting to defend fell, and the process was repeated over and over. The Terran Alliance's massive warships could destroy fleets single-handedly, but they were losing ships due to the overwhelming firepower and numbers faster than they could build new ones. Slowly, system by system, the Alliance was pushed back as their fighting capabilities dwindled until the Alliance pulled back to their home system to mount one final defense. Every single combat-ready ship, from the smallest patrol ships to the largest dreadnoughts, rallied around Sol and Earth as thousands upon thousands of Concord ships arrived just outside the system and sent one message. "Surrender," the message said. "Please, you have lost so much already. Lay down your arms, and you will be treated fairly." The Terran sent one word in response: "Never." And thus the battle for Sol began. End of story. I would quickly like to thank the T5 channel members and Patreons: Caspar Arnholtz, Cam Maxwell, Barky, Lord Azrakal, It's Difficult to Pronounce, Dragzoon WRE, Holly's Sister, Arcadian. Thank you very much.